I, like most people, have had both successes and failures in investing. And I thought you need to learn from both your successes and your failings. So I've been doing some studying on my investing over the last year. And I came to realize that I have made from my investments on NVDA, I'm up 251% from where I first bought it. On Super Microcomputer, up 343% from my first purchase. On Vertiv Holdings, up 236%. And on Micron, up 60%. But on the other hand, I've had some stocks where I'm down substantially, and I understand why I'm down. And in some cases, I'm okay with it. In others, I take my losses and move on. So what I thought I needed to do was make a study of those that where I've had the biggest success. So what I did was go back and look at how did I find NVIDIA? How did I find Supermicro? And learn from it so that I can do that in the future as well. Well, I learned about NVIDIA basically from a friend's son who works from NVIDIA, and he was explaining to me what a GPU was as relative to a CPU. I, like you, learned about artificial intelligence back in November of 2022, and I started putting things together. And so that was why I bought NVIDIA for $260 back on March 24th, 2023. Well, I had remembered seeing an article from Seeking Alpha, which I subscribed to, that was done back in February, which said that NVIDIA was having a partnership with a company by the name of Supermicro Computer. So I went back and read that article, and I said, I need to learn more about this company. So I went and I found they had an earnings call. That was on May 2nd of 2023. And I heard Charles Lang make a statement. We are also improving our cost structure by scaling our Taiwan and upcoming Malaysia campuses, which will be online soon with some of our key partners. And I said to myself, as I listened to that, he's building more facilities to build up his capacity to provide computer servers for this change in artificial intelligence. So I went out and bought some Supermicro after doing some financial research on May the 31st, 2023 for $220. It's now at $975, and I'm up 343%. So then I watched a video between Charles and Jensen about Supermicro, and I learned more about it. And what I learned from that is between the two of them, they were building the capacity for the change that was about to come. And what was the change? Well, the change was artificial intelligence, that we were going to grab this data that we've been gathering over the past 40 years and put it into a format which would then be available to me and every business and every individual, and it was going to change the world. So I said, okay, the change is artificial intelligence. What has to happen to facilitate this change? And I realized we have to have faster computers. Well, that's NVIDIA's chip. And we have to upgrade our delivery system. That's data centers. And those data centers have to have faster and more aggressive computers to have faster compute power. What does that involve? More heat, more cooling systems needed, better electronics, more data centers have to be built. So I put that into my system, and I learned, okay, well, who is going to facilitate this change? I knew NVIDIA, I knew Supermicro. I did some more research, and I realized that Advanced Microsystems. I also realized that the machine that made these super semiconductors was only made by ASML. I realized that there was some things going on in our government that said we've got to get the manufacturing of these semiconductors back into the United States because they're all being done right now by Taiwan Semiconductor and Samsung, and they're both off our shores. So I said, well, Intel has to be a player in it. And then there's some other semiconductor people, such as Modine, and then there's Synopsys, who makes some key parts in Pure Storage, and Vertiv Holdings, which helps in the cooling systems. And I also then found that Modine is very involved in that, as is Comfort Systems USA. So those are the hardware people. These are the people who are building the facilities and supplying the computers to the data centers that are going to make artificial intelligence available to me. So who then, I said, is going to be the benefactors of these new data centers that can deliver me artificial intelligence and companies artificial intelligence? Well, who is going to be the benefactors there? And that is going to be what, as Matthew McConaughey, he says, the new gold is data. Well, who has the data? Well, that's Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and Oracle. They have the data. So if NVDA and Supermicro and ARM and Modine and Synopsys and Pure Storage and Vertiv Holdings are making these data centers such that Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and Oracle's data can become more available to us to make our lives better. Well, then that puts that whole system together. But wait, then there is, okay, I've got the data. I've got the ability to process that data. Who's going to make the software, and who's going to create the cybersecurity to make this whole thing safe? Well, that's going to be Salesforce, Palantir, Snowflake, Palo Alto Networks, and CrowdStrike. Okay, so I all know that. And then I ask myself, okay, who are the new players? Who's the IPOs that are going to come up and make new plays in this whole program? Well, as I dig deeper, I found that's CoreWave, Corresso Energy, and Lambda. So how do I know these companies are in a pre-IPO and will be big players? Because I read the news releases from NVIDIA, who tells me these are some of the people that we're partnering with who are in pre-IPO stage. So that's how I identify CoreWave and Corresso Energy and Lambda. So with that in mind, I then put them on my watch list and see where they are going and how I can access them. So what do I use then as my tools to give me all this information? Well, I have for a long time been a premium subscriber to Seeking Alpha, because what I do is I go into Seeking Alpha and I build my portfolio of all the stocks I just told you, and then I ask them to send me any information that they get relative to all those stocks every morning into my email box. And then I sit in the early mornings and go through those emails, and I become aware of all the information that's available on. And if something is important, I go and read that article on Seeking Alpha. I also have access to all the financials on Seeking Alpha. I then look and see, based on their earnings calls, which I listen to every quarter, and I find out what are they projecting their growth to be over the next 3 years, and based on that, what will their price be over the next 3 years? I then compile that on what I call my cheat sheet, so that I get a structure that says, if the price is this today, and based on my analysis and the information I get from Wall Street, the price is going to be this in 2025. Well, what is my gain? And if my gain is not greater than 25%, I don't want to own it. But then I say, okay, what does the price have to come down to in order for me to yield the 25%? So that becomes my target price. Then I go to my trading views. That's my next tool. That gives me the charts from which I then interpret and say, if something happens to make this stock unattractive to Wall Street, what is its support level and what might it come down to? And if it does come down to that price and it matches then with the price that it's projected it's going to be in 2025, what do I make then? And if I make over 25%, then I watch that stock to see if it comes to my target price. If it comes to my target price, I analyze and say, why did it come down? And if it has a good reason, because maybe there is a lack of sale of EVs and PCs and phones, so that semiconductor isn't selling right now, but it is a strong company with strong financials. And when the EVs come back and the PCs come back, it's going to go up. So I then recognize it's a stock under stress that will come back. And so I go in and buy it. Now, then sometimes I learn things that are ahead of the Wall Street Times, and I realize that there is potential in the future. Now, is it beyond Wall Street to recognize that there is a stock, let's call it SoundHound, that is invested in by NVIDIA, that is named as one of NVIDIA's partners in the future? Is it possible that Wall Street could create a short position in it to drive the price down in anticipation of building their holdings in it with intention to drive the price down on the short term so they can build a stronger position, because they recognize that quite possibly this company who is going to put a voice activated system that is not connected to the internet into all the cars in the future, and also put that same voice activated system into all the fast food restaurants so that they don't have to be connected to the internet, but they have this voice activated system so that they can answer your questions, whether it's in your car or it's at the restaurant, or if in fact you're taking a law exam to get your law license, you can have all that data in your ear so you answer every question on that law exam correct. Is that possible that Wall Street could push that price down, knowing that you don't know about SoundHound, and get it down lower so that when it does become general knowledge by them coming out and saying, we've just upgraded SoundHound, it doesn't go up from $4 a share, it goes up from $2 a share to $140 a share. Is that possible? So that's my process. That's how I buy stocks. I do analysis. Have I always been this good at it? No, I have not. I've made mistakes, but I've learned to learn from my mistakes. And then I've learned to build a toolkit with things like Seeking Alpha, Trading Views, Zacks, Wise Sheets, and other resources on the internet that help me have a better chance. And then what I think is very important, I've recognized how the system works. The system works on Wall Street. Identify the stock that's going to go up. Build a position in that stock at as low a price as possible. And if in fact you can manipulate the price to a lower price, then build your position and then share your knowledge of a new discovery with the retail world and let that price go up. What I have to do is do my research so I get in before they push the price up or down by limiting my research into a very specific area, narrowing it down to very specific stocks, gathering all the data on those stocks as quickly as I can from their morning news releases, and getting ahead of that 2-week window that Wall Street says we've discovered, we've built our position, now we'll tell the world about it so they can push the price up. That's what I've learned over the past 25 years of how to beat Wall Street at their own game. If you want to be a part of this, if you want to get access to my cheat sheets and my analysis, you just get on the bus. You come to Best of Us Investors and you join our Platinum group, which we normally charge $60 a month, but right now we have on sale for 50% off. You'll find that discount code in the description. I hope to see you at my Friday Stock Talk next week, and we can learn more together.